Hello and welcome back to another video. My name's Justin, and in this video we're going to talk about how I break down my monthly finances. So this is finances from my day job, which I get paid monthly, and then I divide that up and manage to save 40%. So I'm going to show you how I save that 40% and in which different things I save it into. So just as a quick caveat, I am not a financial expert, I'm not a property expert for that fact. However, I do want to document my journey and share it with you so that you can improve your financial affairs and create wealth in the future. Now let's quickly talk about money. I'm obsessed with money. I have been since a young age. I think at secondary school I worked out that when my parents gave me, £2 or £2.50, that if I managed to buy a cheaper sandwich or if I just ate less, then I could save £1 a day, which was £5 a week, £20 a month. And as a kid, that felt like a lot of money. And then ever since then, I've tried doing side hustles and businesses as ways in which I could generate income. But it wasn't until about 25, 26 in which I just started using a basic spreadsheet, and that has allowed me to really visualize my finances and really improve the way I save and build up my wealth. And I've noticed dramatic results as a result of using this basic spreadsheet, in which I'm going to share with you in 1 minute. And just before we get started, I just wanted to say, for anyone that's thinking, well, you don't save that much towards property each month, that's because I also have a side business in which I have I have 3 different revenue streams, and that business I tend to generate my cash flow and I roll up the money every month, increasing, and then I do still save a little bit of my income towards property from my salary, but it also goes down other avenues as well, which I'm going to share with you. Right, now looking at the breakdown of finances, what I've done here is split it into 4 columns to basically cater for all the different audiences that watch my channel, and to give you an idea of how you could potentially save 40% of your income if you don't already. So starting with the expenses, I've kind of assumed that you might be paying your expenses along with a partner, hence why they're not extortionate. But if we start with the expenses, we've got mortgage and bills, car tax, car insurance, petrol, mobile phone, Audible, charity donation, gym membership, miscellaneous spend. So they're my expenses. Yours might differ, so you've just got to change them depending on what your expenses are. Obviously these top ones, this top half, are pretty much non-negotiables because they're things you've got to pay each month. You might be able to get them slightly cheaper, but you've still got to pay that expense. Whereas these ones are perhaps more luxury items. Now, looking at these luxuries, again, I always scrutinise my expenses, but these ones I keep because they're ones I think, yeah, these are luxuries, but I really want them in there, basically. So Audible, it's £8 for education. So if you've only got to pay £8 a month to have some education, I think it's worthwhile. Charity donation, I highly advise this one. If you've got something you're really passionate about, then make a charity donation. Sometimes you've got to do it, give in life without expecting in return. Gym membership, well, health is wealth. And then last of all, miscellaneous spend. I mean, this is probably the hardest one for some people because I know people that have got expenses of £500, £600, £700 a month. I'm not criticising, but I'm saying you can get that down. So, when I say miscellaneous spend, I mean, dinners out, lunches, clothing, haircuts, so on and so forth. Of which, those ones, I rarely do any of them apart from maybe haircuts. So, that's why I've put quite a little amount of money, because that's really where you're going to save £200, £300 or £400 each month is off of that miscellaneous spend. So, provided you're able to save what you can on your expenses, we're now going to look at the savings portion, what I've put here in green. So for the savings bit, what I've done is put savings account 25%. So what I do is I transfer 25% of my income into a savings account. And yes, that is a savings account with 0.1 or 0.2% interest, which is pretty unadvisable and something I don't advise people doing because it's such little interest right now. However, I know that I'm saving up. I only want that money in there for 6 or 8 months at a time, and therefore I need it quite liquid, so I just put it into a normal basic savings account for that amount of time, because when it gets to a reasonable sum, I'm taking it out and putting that into property. So I want it to be liquid. And of that money, say I'm in this column and I'm putting £1,000 away a month, I'll probably take £100 or £200 of that and put that aside as an emergency fund. So in actual fact, £800 of that is going towards property investing, and then £100 or £200 of that is going towards my emergency fund for, you know, my car breaking down, something going wrong with my buy-to-let or my own home, for example. So then I've got Vanguard, where I take 10% of my income and I put it into that ETF. Now, it doesn't have to be Vanguard, but that's who I use. And each month I pay 10% of my salary into that account. And that's so that over time I can compound money. You know, on average, some of these index funds and ETFs earn between 5 and 9% every year. So if you can keep putting money in, you know, set up a standing order and then forget about it, then you're set, really, because in 10, 20, 30 years time, that money's going to compound and you'll really thank yourself. And then last of all, this is something I've only done for the last few months, and that's because I have never really been a fan of stocks. When it comes to stocks or property, I'm always going in property. However, in the want to diversify and spread my money a little bit, I now take 5% of my income per month and I put that aside, and then I wait for a red day on the chosen stock that I have, so when it downturns a little bit, and then I invest that money for the month. Now, what a lot of people would say the better thing to do is to take £10,000 and put that into your chosen stock, because that's how you'll make real money, is by putting £10,000 at a low price into a stock and watching it grow. However, if you gave me £10,000 tomorrow, there's no way I'm putting that into stocks. I'm putting that towards my next property purchase. So the only way that I really feel comfortable is by taking a small portion of my income and putting that into stocks each month. And this is what I consider my high risk investment option. So I take 5%, I put it into a high risk stock, and then I hope that that will grow in time. But really my safety is in my property and my Vanguard. They are my safety investments. So that was a really basic overview of finances, but I hope that helps you to review and perhaps improve your own finances. But if you're still stuck and you're not sure what to invest in, and you're not perhaps overly bought in property, maybe you don't want the time and aggravation that comes with buying property, then I would urge you to listen to a gentleman called Andrew Craig. Now, he recently went on my friend's podcast, Colin Campbell, and I would also recommend reading Andrew Craig's book, which is How to Own the World. Now, Andrew Craig recommends the 100 rule, and this is to help you determine whether you should go for high risk or low risk, or what split you should take. And what you do is you take the number 100, you minus off your age. So if you're 25, you do 100 minus 25, that gives you 75. Now, if you follow this formula, which you don't have to, be aware and take your own financial advice. But if you follow this formula, you would then take 75% and put that into high risk investments. And then you'd have 25 in what you would consider safer investments. And then every 5 or 10 years, you just adjust that as your age goes up. But what you want to do ideally is set up those direct debits or standing orders so that your money's going out of your income, your account each month. And then after 5 years or 10 years, you then make the adjustment. And it's basically to help reduce your risks as you get older. So if you're 50 and you lost half of your investment portfolio, it's a lot harder to gain it back by the time you're 65 than if you'd lost that when you were 25. Obvious, but needs to be said sometimes. Anyway, I hope that's a useful tip for you. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Remember to invest for the long term. Remember to play the long game. I mean, this wasn't a t-shirt plug, but it now is. Link below if you want to buy a t-shirt. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.